Hi, in this video we're going to discuss one of my favorite looks for summer, coastal. Coastal may be off-putting to some because they feel like you have to be on the coast to have it. I completely disagree. Give yourself coastal in the summer. And our video today is going to focus on a really interesting point, and that's editing. Not the video, but actually the table. So when you see all these gorgeous pictures on Instagram from all of us that do beautiful style, you say, wow, that's so fantastic. How did they come up with that? Trial and error and a lot of editing. So today, we're going to discuss the table, why it works first. We're going to discuss each individual element. And then we're going to go back and show you what didn't make it to the table and why it was so wrong. So let's get started. My name is Peter Bisciano, and I am the creator of the lifestyle brand Living Beautifully. And what I love to do with my brand and my designs is help people understand what it is about living beautifully. Quite literally, leveling things up just a hair. And what do I mean by that? Well, anybody can choose a napkin for a table, but why do the napkins that I choose and the napkin rings that I choose, why do they level up your game? How to present food in the most interesting way and not really go through too much trouble. So it's not about doing less, but knowing where to pull from and how to do it better. So with this table, this is a great example of that. I wanted a coastal table. I did not want something like completely under the sea where we're expecting Ariel to show up and her crab friend. But I wanted something that was more stylish, very coastal, very minimal, very large mansion on the beach in California type vibe. So this is where we're going with that, a California coastal I'm using a friend of mine in California as the inspiration for this. So let's get started on the selections. Linen, we chose a beautiful wavy, what do they call that? A crinkle taffeta. And I love it because if it's wrinkly, you can't tell the difference, so it's very forgiving. Next, I chose blue placemats and the blue chain napkin. Both give you the idea of coastal. They give you the idea of ships being chained at the dock or pulling up anchor. You can tell I'm not really nautical. I don't think they use chains at the dock. It's when they drop anchor. But it gives you that idea of coastal. The coral candelabra, definitely under the sea. It's a faux coral candelabra and this piece of faux coral off to the side. So it's a beautiful designer piece, and I wanted that to be the star of the show. I also wanted to have something that was going to be a wow factor when the guests came in. It's only 4 of us for dinner, but I wanted this beautiful molecule vase to have just beautiful palm leaves because it just screams of, outdoor plants and, or palm trees if you're on the coast in California. Nothing better. And then our glassware, I chose optic glass to give the idea of ripples of water, under the sea again, movement. Our ferns. These are a blue-green fern. The name escapes me right now, but these are just beautiful ferns. They feel like under the water. They feel seaweed-like, but they're not. It's not seaweed. Orchids, no-brainer. It's the summer, perfect. So enough said about those. Off to the side, I have a really beautiful vintage vase that's all a shell design. It's actually an embossed impression of a barnacle-covered wood piling. So it's actually made from something that's coastal. Very vintage, probably a thing from 1973. And then I came in with unexpected things like these agave candle holders, which feel like plant life under the sea. All very unexpected. So this table works because I really edited everything down. I pared it down. I wanted the napkins to be the star of the show. I didn't want to make the flowers the star, even though they're quite heavy, or not that heavy, but they're heavy. But the blue napkins really jump out, and they just give you this chic vibe, and I want that experience. So when I create something for my guests or I create something for you, I want it to be an experience. It's never just about a plate, it's the experience. Even when your guests leave the table and you're home, they're going to remember the experience. They're not going to say, well, she had blue-green ferns at the table and white orchids. They might, but they're going to remember the overall experience, at least in my experience. So let's talk editing. So we're going to edit in layers of the table. And I think you'll find it interesting. Let's start with the linens. We'll start from the beginning again. So the white table cover was fine. Didn't edit that. But when I started, I actually chose this really beautiful acanthus leaf. Looks like waves, blue and light blue waves. I mean, how beautiful. It's a beautiful linen embroidered napkin with a hem stitch border. But it was like a little bit too... It's a little too feminine feeling. I wanted it to be, this table has a sort of masculine vibe to it, and the floral and the palms sort of give that feminine vibe to kind of balance the two opposing forces. So this, I thought, it's got to go. No, I can't have it. So I put that to the side. I went back to my event closet, and I found the winner, which was this beautiful chain napkin. And when I saw it, and like I explained earlier, it reminds me of when ships are dropping anchor. I remember this time. It's not the... It's not the dock, we're dropping anchor. But it reminds you of something coastal. And while we're talking about the napkin, we'll talk about the ring. The ring, of course, I picked because of the coral candelabra. It's a sister piece from the same company. But that wasn't where I started. I actually started with mother of pearl. And I thought, wow, shell, that'd be fabulous. It has the gold, and I want to touch a gold on the table to warm it up. And I'll tell you, it was really the wrong choice. It doesn't do anything for it. It's a snooze. This would be great if it was a white napkin and we were doing like sandy colors, or this would even be great for a garden party because of the pink and champagne colors underneath, if we're doing like pink and champagne. That lost. So that was edited out right away. And in came, I didn't want to do this at first. I felt like it was too on the nose, the coral napkin ring, but it actually was just understated enough, and I loved it, so we kept it. The placemats started out white, then they went to sand, and then they went to this beautiful blue. And I chose it because they actually, they actually pick up the light detail or the highlights of the navy. So if you were painting this, we'll say the highlight color would be more or less this color value. So it serves very well to reinforce the navy without being too much. But again, we lost out with white and sand originally. Next up, let's talk glassware. So when you're choosing glassware for a party or for a dinner setting specifically we'll speak about, it does play a significant role if you're going away from just clear plain glassware. And there's nothing wrong with using that. I have, plenty of that, but I wanted something exciting for this party. So when I chose the napkin and the placemat, I thought, let's use the blue glass, that pretty blue-gray. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be a wow factor. Well, it's not. It really doesn't serve any kind of purpose to the table. I mean, a lot of people would say, like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, but as far as, like, the perfect edit for the table, the clear glass was definitely the way to go. And these two just remind me of the ripples of the water, the sparkle you see on the top of the waves, or the glistening when there's sunset happening, the glisten on the water. So it's all kind of, to me, that's what it speaks of. So the other glass that lost out also was this. I thought I had these agave candle holders and I knew I was going to use them because of the under the sea value. But this glass, it's a little bit too jazzy. Doesn't really do the trick. So cheers. I went to these beautiful optic white wine glasses because, of course, we're going to serve fish. We'll have white wine. Glass lost out. Talk about flowers. When you're designing a table with flowers, you don't want the flowers to overwhelm, or all the decoration to overwhelm the table. Obviously, this type of dinner, my guests are going to be served from the ends with beautiful, we'll have platter and we'll pass family style from these two ends here that are empty. But we could actually serve from a side cart and the guests could help themselves also. But the flowers I started with were so heavy. They were so big, so bulky. I got rid of half of everything. They were all green with white floral, and they looked amazing, but it just didn't serve the purpose the correct way. And then I bought blue because I thought blue would be fabulous. It would look great with the blue napkin, and I would have this filled with blue and the white, no, so wrong. And what I wanted to convey is something that was really minimal and understated. And I thought what I started with, which was foxtail ferns and puffy green dianthus, these are all I know floral terms, but was so heavy and bulky. It was like Thanksgiving under the sea. Like, it was just too much. So I want that airy, pared down, very, very upmarket chic sort of look. So this look won out. We didn't use these containers originally either. They were flat metal trays that nobody could see. These are actually birch. And the birch, it was crazy. I looked at it, I thought, you know what? If nobody knew that was birch, they wouldn't think anything of it. It just looks like something under the sea. And if it looks a little bit too brown in areas, I would have grabbed some paint and just hit it with a little bit more white paint and covered it up. But it looks fabulous, and they feel under the sea. So the blue lost. It lost out. Lastly, let's talk about the table architecture. So table architecture itself is pieces on the end, your pieces here, your candle holders. I had these beautiful gold candle cups, and I thought they were the perfect item, but they lost out originally, and we went with the agave, which is actually perfect. So you can see how these would be just not the right look. They just don't do it. The hobnail, they would work, but when the agave's here and you see it, you say, that's perfect. So everything really speaks to one another in a very deliberate way, a very well-edited way. And this was my whole point of the video, to share with you how well-edited items can really make the difference for a beautiful setting. Again, my name is Pete Bisciano. I'm so glad you can join me today. Thanks for watching.